Hello, lovely people. Welcome to the webinar on designing immersive customer experiences. I'm Nupur. I head the digital learning studio for Encora. I'm also an innovation leader working on building our capabilities in the domain of metaverse and immersive technology. And today, through this webinar, we will try and unpack, what we mean by immersive customer experiences, why brands should create immersive customer experiences, and then what are the key components of designing an immersive customer experience. And then we will look at, some real world examples of how some brands are leveraging these immersive customer experiences for their customers and brand engagement. Just like before we jump into the things, I just wanted to do a little disclaimer that we will be focusing in this webinar primarily on the concept of immersive customer experiences, more on what we need to consider when we are thinking of designing a immersive customer experience, and we will not be getting too much into the technology aspect. It is a very wide universe, but we will focus on just right now on the core and the key aspect, which is on designing the experience. So let's get started. So according to Gartner, by 2026, 25% of people will be spending approximately an hour every day in virtual worlds for work, shopping, education, entertainment, socialization. And I think if we all kind of stop and reflect on, how much our digital footprint has increased in last 3 years post-pandemic for our everyday interactions, we will realize that this prediction may come true even before 2026. So a large part of, our engagements are happening virtually, in these virtual universes for our everyday interactions, be it social, be it shopping, be it entertainment. So in the first part, we will kind of delve into understanding, what is customer experience, what are immersive experiences, and then what do we mean by immersive customer experience. So when we talk about customer experience, it's essentially a customer's perception and feelings and impressions which are caused by the various touch points the customer has with the suppliers, people, in a nutshell, employees, products, service, and channels. So what do we mean by channels here? It could be, your first interaction with a supplier's supplier could be through website, which could be a channel, could be through a billboard, which could be another physical channel, could be in-store interaction with their, in-store representatives, which is another channel. So what is the impact a supplier is leaving on the customer through its various touch points with the customer is what customer experience is all about. And what do we mean by immersive experience? Immersive experience is something where, you take the user and you put the user in some digitally created environment. It could be a completely immersive environment where you're pulling the user outside of the reality into something fictional, imaginary, which could be as real as the actual world, or you are augmenting users' reality with some digital overlays. So that is what an immersive experience is kind of defined. And an immersive experience is kind of an amalgamation of different technologies like augmented reality, interactive 3D mixed reality, virtual reality, Web3, artificial intelligence. So these are various technologies which can enable you to create the immersive experience. So then what do we mean by immersive customer experience? So an immersive customer experience is kind of now the amalgamation of customer experience plus immersive experience. So you are creating a multisensory interaction for various touch points of a customer journey for your customer to interact with your brand, with your product, with your employees, with your service. And these interactions need not necessarily take place, in a complete digital universe. You can, as I mentioned earlier, that we could augment customers' physical world with an immersive experience. So these could be in store, these could be in booths, in kiosks, through screens, through billboards, and also through the devices. So I think most of us, when we are imagining immersive experiences, we think of, we are putting on some device and then we are transported into some other universe. But that's just one aspect of it. Immersive customer experiences can be created in multiple ways. And another aspect is that immersive customer experiences are a way for brands and companies to create very unique experiences for their customers, both old and potential, to grow their business. So the key aspect we need to remember when we are envisioning or designing immersive customer experience is that we are not replacing any existing experience with digitalization. It is something very unique, very novel, very different, which will help boost the business in an entire new way. So there are these 3 T's of immersive customer experience, and some of it, like which we just discussed. One is, transform. That is, you are bringing the digital overlays to the physical world. And a very common example of this is your Google Street Views, where you actually can see on the map, actually how a neighborhood looks through the phone. Or you can, augmented reality comes in here, where if I am going through, like I'm walking in a museum, and then I just, point my phone at a painting, and then it gives me all the information about the painter, the painting, the time it was done, and all of that. So that's called like transforming the physical world with digital information. That's one of it. And then transporting. So this is what I think most of us imagine as an immersive experience, where you wear a device and then you are transported into a virtual world that may be done through 3D, interactive 3D, or through 360 videos, or just like it's like a very created world, but sometimes it could also be reflecting the real world. So that's transporting, and the transporting is not device dependent. It can also happen sans the device, through your computer screen, by using your cameras, your machine cameras, or just by interacting, where you create these immersive worlds where you get into and interact real time as an avatar. And the final T is transact. So in context of customer experience, immersive experiences also lend themselves to transaction within these environments. And these transactions could be, you are actually spending real money in those transactions and acquiring a product or service, or you are digitally, you are earning some tokens, some assets, some currencies, the tokens which could be fungible or non-fungible. So different types of transactions can occur through these immersive customer experiences. And as I mentioned earlier, that to create, to leverage these 3 T's, brands have to think fresh. Like, it's not about just replacing an existing experience and converting into a digital experience. It's about thinking, imagining about fresh ways of how you can engage your customer, which will also impact your business. So now that we've understood what immersive customer experiences are, we will now move into, what are those key components of an immersive customer experience. So as I call it, there are 5 W's that we need to focus on when we are designing an immersive customer experience. And it's very, very basic. It's very, it's common sense, but these are the critical, 5 W's. If you get them right, if you think through these, you will be able to design a very, very engaging and fruitful customer experience for your brand. So the first one is why, as in like why am I designing this immersive customer experience? What is the purpose of the experience and what is its expected impact? And this why will also give you, information on what should be the success metrics for your experience. So how will you measure once you have designed and you've implemented the experience? How will you measure the success of that experience? Those KPIs will come through this why. So we will delve into it a little bit in the next slide. The other W is who. So this is where we are saying you're defining your target customer, you're defining the persona for whom you are going to be, creating that experience. And this is very, very critical part of the entire process, because this will be your core base for further visualizing what that customer experience will look like, because a lot of the factors about the persona will decide different aspects of your customer experience. And we will again like delve into it a little bit more later. Then it is when. So as I said that, customer experience are all the touch points a customer has with the supplier and supplier's product and services, so which we call as the customer journey. So you have to decide at what touch point of the customer journey you want to create a immersive customer experience. So it's why, who, when. The next W is where, as in where do you want to create this immersive customer experiences? As we saw earlier, that it can be in a virtual space or it can actually be in a physical space. So the decision, again, all these factors will lead up to where that experience should be. And finally is the what. That is, you define the use case, what that experience should be, should look like, how you want your persona to behave in that kind of an experience that you create. So let's now get a little bit deeper into each of these W's. So starting with why. As I said, we have to be absolutely clear about why are we designing this experience. So what is the impact, expected impact for this experience that we are creating? And there could be multiple. One is, just you are trying to create a very novel brand engagement experience. And that's why you are creating this experience. All you want is your brand to be more visible with a larger set of audience. The other could be you are targeting very, very specific, customer segment, and you want to onboard them as customers, which you have never tried before. And like for example, if say a car company is targeting, they're still the non-buyers, they may not have the money, but they want to target a new segment of customers from age group, say 18 to 22. So these are people who are still in college, but this car company still wants to engage them, still wants them to be familiar with their brand and what brand brings. So maybe they decide to create an immersive customer experience, which could take these college kids to go on a safari using their vehicles, or design their own cars, or there could be various reasons. The other reason of why could be, purchase decisions, you driving purchase decisions. So how you could create experiences where your customers get a closer look about your products. They're able to examine, feel, like understand your products better. So that may drive the customers to take faster decisions because they're getting a first-hand experience, almost real experience of your product. It would improve conversions. It could also like lead to reduced returns. So for example, imagine like if a clothing line gives a virtual experience to to its customers to kind of try on the clothes and see how they're looking on them virtually. Perhaps a user who's buying right now through websites, with this experience there will be like a less there'll be a reduction in the return rates of the garments, because you've given them a feel of what, how the garment looks on them, and it's a better decision, and maybe the return rate would be low. And as I said, that all these factors, so you have to figure out why you are designing the experience, and then you can decide how are you going to measure the success. So the metrics will come from the impact you are trying to create. Now let's get to who. The who is, the persona for whom I'm designing the experience. And the goal of, doing this whole persona profile is that when you design your experience, it speaks to the persona in a very personal way. It kind of makes the persona think and feel that, this experience is completely designed for them. It's solving their problem. It's just targeted at them and it's directly speaking to them. So the idea of persona is that, and then we get into, what is a persona? A persona is a fictional profile of your targeted customer. It has to get into, like, when you're doing this whole persona mapping, there are 4 key aspects you need to get deeper into. One is the basic demographics of who your target customer is, which is your basic stuff like, age, gender, ethnicity, location, income, education, then background, like, uh, whether your persona, family background, the career path, the lifestyle, the jobs your persona is doing, and then the challenges, like, what are the roadblocks, what are the struggles for this persona, and what are the frustrations, just understanding. And maybe this understanding may come in context of the problem your product or service is trying to solve, or it could also be general. So it's like you need to understand every aspect of the person for whom you are designing the experience. And then there are identifiers, and this is again a very key part, because it's these identifiers include, somebody's political ideology, religious faith, social issues which the persona kind of thinks strongly about, the brand preferences, the communication preferences, social media footprint. So as you can see that you really need to uh, kind of map the persona, uh, every nuance of the persona, because each of these things will help you take certain decisions around the design of your experience. And there are multiple templates which come, but I think if you have the basic understanding, you can create your own persona templates and then try to fill it. And usually you have generally different functions involved in designing the experience are part of this persona mapping, because different aspects of persona map to different functions or people involved in creating the immersive CX. So another aspect of persona is, so one is first you kind of identify, you map the persona, and then within that persona, the persona could have like 4 different types of buying behavior. And according to the buying, and maybe your customer, your immersive experience needs to address each of these 4 behaviors when you are thinking of designing. And also again, it will tie up to why you are designing that experience. So one is, one persona behavior is somebody who looks for, uh, who assesses your brand for the value that brand brings to the table in comparison to the other brand. Like why I should buy. So it's like why I should buy from Nike and not from Adidas. So what is the brand value it is bringing to the table? That's one persona. The other persona is, the persona has kind of zeroed in on your brand. It likes your brand. The thing now is like you have to provide that persona a very easy and simple way of making that decision quickly and then converting that persona into your customer. So ease and simplicity of that experience will help the persona take decision. There's another persona who would like to know more on the human aspect of your brand story, like how you treat your workers, who are your workers, what environment they work in, what is your brand ideology, what other social causes your brand supports. So that could be the human aspect. Maybe you need to weave that into your immersive experience. And then there are these hardcore people who are very objective, very process driven. They want to look at every detail, like what your customers who have already bought your product and services are talking about your services and products, what kind of details you are providing. So they're very process driven. They want all the information to the T to make that decision. Now, so once we have done our persona mapping, we have kind of zeroed in on, which buying behavior of the persona we will target. We then have to decide, at which point of the customer journey we want to create that immersive experience. And a customer journey is, typically it starts from the time a customer has a need for a product or service and ends at a time when the customer has satisfactorily acquired the product and service and also stays with the brand. So it's actually, it's kind of from start to finish, there are various, points, but it's kind of a continuous ongoing process, even I think post the acquisition of product and service. And it could span from like, a couple of minutes to months to a year also, depending on, the value of the product or service the customer is seeking. So here are the 5 stages of customer journey. And for each stage, there could be a different, immersive customer experience, which could satisfy each of these stages. So the first stage is awareness. This is the stage when the persona, just discovers your brand for the first time. So it's not like, it's not they're aware of it. This is like when you make the persona aware of your brand existence in some way. The consideration stage of the customer journey is when the persona is weighing your products or services against the other brands. So if I have to, buy a shoe, I'm still considering whether I should go for Skechers, for Nike, for Adidas, and why should I, if I'm still kind of more leaning towards say Nike, so why should I be buying a Nike shoe? So I'm still considering, still evaluating. That's a second stage. Then there is a decision stage when the persona is going to take the final go or no go decision. This is a very, very critical stage because this is where the conversion will happen. And then there is the retention stage when I've already bought, the persona has already bought the product or service, and then what is the supplier doing or the brand doing to keep that persona with the brand, to keep them engaged. So what is it that you're providing post? And one of the big part of retention, especially with consumer goods, is actually your product itself. Like, how easy it is for the consumer to use the product. What is, how much maintenance it requires, is it easy to operate, all of that. So one of the big aspect of retention is the product or service itself, but the other aspects are other engagements which the brand can do with the customer. And the final stage of the customer journey is advocacy, where somebody has bought a product, they've loved your brand, and now they're telling the world, like, if you want to buy shoes, just buy a Nike because they are the best. So that's advocacy. So now we look at, for each of these stages of customer journey, what are those immersive customer experiences, that you could think of. So for example, for the awareness stage, to make, as I said, new people aware of your brand, you could go for designing virtual events in the form of concerts, or, bringing in sports events virtually. You could design immersive games on social media. There could be billboards on high streets and busy commercial districts, immersive billboards, which could, make people aware of your brand existence. The second stage, which is consideration, this is where you could design experiences which could lead the persona to interact better with your product. So there could be virtual demos, there could be these immersive try-on rooms, and things like that. Then the decision stage is where you can bring in experiences with virtual assistants, with personalization, interactive product experiences, where you expose your customers through your community of existing customers and let them kind of, invite your other new customers to their community to kind of have an interaction about your brand. Then on the retention side, you could think of experiences around loyalty programs. And then loyalty programs which kind of include your customers to earn tokens, and tokens could lead to special privileges. So retention, you could think of these kind of experiences. And similar is on the advocacy side as well, where you give platform to your existing customers to bring in more people to the community in an immersive way. Now we have come to a point where we have decided at what stage of customer journey your immersive customer experience will be, and now the decision is where that experience should be designed, whether it should be on a virtual space, or it should be in an actual physical space. So based on your purpose, your persona, your customer journey stage, you can choose whether to design the immersive experience in physical or a virtual space. So let's look at some of the virtual, like what the virtual space experience could look like. And a virtual immersive space which is centered around a brand theme and can include things like community interactions, games, journeys, art galleries, live events like concerts, product interaction demos, and AR filters. And there are various virtual platforms now, which you can see here. Like you have Roblox, Sandbox, Decentraland, Meta, NVIDIA Omniverse. These are some of the popular virtual spaces which you could leverage to design your virtual immersive customer experiences. And again, all these virtual spaces again do not require use of any devices, any headset. These are all interactions that you can seek either on a mobile device or on your laptops, on your iPads. So they're still immersive experiences, but sans usage of any device. And an interesting thing here, which I found is like these AR filters. And I don't know if some of you use Teams. If you have noticed, Teams has recently introduced Maybelline filter, which is like a cosmetic filter. So like you can imagine, like in a Microsoft suite, you have Maybelline filter settings. So imagine the brand reach it has got through just putting that AR filter in Teams. So another other aspect is where you can create is the physical space. And the physical space for designing an immersive experience could be large billboards, as you can see here with this Nike shoe billboard. You can have immersive experiences through exhibition, which we can see here, the Van Gogh 360 and Team Lab. These are both, spaces, physical spaces, which have designed these immersive experiences, which engage all our senses, which are visual, or auditory, as well as tactile. So like with Team Lab, you have this whole experience where it gives you that whole tactile experience when you enter the space of experiencing nature in a virtually created world. And then you could do like product interactions and immersive kiosks in the store itself. We can do marker-based AR experiences. A recent example of marker-based AR experiences, like if you go to any Starbucks now, I think they have some code, you scan it, and then there is this whole thing about campaign on leave a kind remark, for your friend in that whole community. So that's an interesting marker-based AR experience. Now we come to, what. So we have decided the purpose. We know for whom we are creating the experience. We exactly know at which part of customer journey, which stage of customer journey our immersive experience should be. We've also kind of have decided that whether it needs to be physical or virtual. Now we actually need to think about what that experience would be. And to think about what that experience would be, a good tool is to think about a use case, which is just lay down possible scenarios of what that immersive experience will look like for your persona. And this is right now, again, like very basic, think in simple language, just describe what you would want your user to be doing or feeling or interacting with in this immersive experience that you're thinking of. And then later, once you define this use case in very simple language, you can then kind of convert it. It gives you kind of a thing about what your design approach or structure of the desired experience would be. So here are like two examples for an immersive experience use case. The first one is an immersive customer experience for a bank, and where we are thinking of setting up a virtual customer service booth to support Gen Z customers of a bank. So pay attention to the keywords. The booth should be accessed through mobile device. The virtual booth will support the Gen Z customers with activities like opening a bank account, applying for loans, credit card applications, resolving complaints and queries. And then the virtual booth will also have virtual assistants who will be digital humans that will possess personality, knowledge, and behavior of real humans. So this is one use case. So you can see how the use case is just written, like you're just thinking about it and you're describing what you would want it to be and what you want, how you want to support your customer in that scenario. The other use case is about an immersive in-store product personalization experience, perhaps for a retail brand. So this is like set up an in-store self-service handbags personalization experience targeted at women shoppers. The experience will be accessed through an in-store screen kiosk device. We are not sure of, what it would be. Then the experience will enable the women shoppers to personalize the bags by letting them experience using the different styles of bags and different virtual settings on themselves. The experience will have limited options of the settings and products that can be personalized. So there are two very different use cases, which are just describing what the experience could be. And then how we can take this use case and how this use case could lead to a design process is, as I said, focus on the keywords. So you pull out the keywords. One is, virtual customer service booth. It needs to be accessible through mobile device. My target personas are supporting Gen Z customers. And then there are virtual humans as virtual assistants, digital humans as virtual assistants. So these are the keywords which will help us take some design decisions, and let's see how they help us in making those design decisions. So when we talk about virtual customer service booth, mobile device, maybe we need to identify the platform where we want to build the experience, then use the platform where the audience is already present. So, one is like we want the platform which is mobile, is accessible through the mobile. We are looking, our target group is Gen Z. So we have to look for a platform where we already have the audience on that platform. And then, so one possible thing here could be perhaps Roblox, because Roblox, the data tells us that, the large chunk of users on Roblox are Gen Z. They are all people, who are less than maybe 25 years of age. So maybe for this particular immersive customer experience for a bank, we use Roblox as a platform. Then we now focus on, what that experience should look like. Since our end target personas are Gen Z, we consider the audience, what your environment should look like, and how you can make the experience more fun, engaging, exciting for your target users. So even though the users will come to your experience to get a job done, which we mentioned earlier in the use case, like they want to open an account, they want to apply for credit card, they want to apply for a student loan, but to get those services and to make them keep coming and not get overwhelmed or disconnected with your virtual experience, you will have to bring in some other fun engagement things in your virtual kiosk. And that could be, maybe perhaps you need to incentivize through gamification, add fun interactions, make the environment fun and playful. So it could be like simple things like, I'm creating a booth. For every visit you do, you earn some tokens, and then you can leverage those tokens to gain something. So that's gamification. Or while I'm waiting at the booth for the virtual assistant, maybe I have another thing to do. I have a karaoke booth, in that environment, and I'm just while I'm waiting, I am just engaging in some fun activity, or I'm just listening to some music in that booth, because there is a jukebox, there is a virtual jukebox which I can just. So you have to think about what your Gen Z audience does for fun, and then maybe you bring in those experiences in your virtual booth. And then finally, one of the key components of your virtual booth are digital humans as virtual assistant. So you need to understand, you have to figure out, what should be the personalities of these digital humans. And then obviously, since these digital humans will be interacting with your primary personas, which are Gen Z, they need to understand Gen Z as an audience in terms of their backgrounds, challenges, aspirations, preferences, likes, dislike, all of that. So that means you need to build certain intelligence in these virtual assistants. So we've already got so you could see how like a use case led you to figure out some of your design decisions in context of building that immersive customer experience. Now we will just look at, so we've already now gone through the 5 W's, and I hope like you got a sense of how, by using the use case, you can figure out different aspects of designing the immersive customer experience. We will now look at some real world examples of how some brands have leveraged immersive customer experiences. So the first, example here is H&M Magic Mirror. So this is like a mirror in a store, and I think it comes from concept. I mean, it's deeply rooted in the concept of vanity. I think because I think the primary goal was to boost the in-store customer engagement, and that would match up with customers' thirst for Insta fame. So this is essentially a virtual assistant inside a store in the form of a mirror. So it's like, like you look at the mirror and you say, mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of all? In the same way, like you just talk to the mirror, and then the mirror takes a selfie of you and puts it on a fashion magazine cover, which you can upload to your Instagram. The mirror also helps you browse through, the catalogs. It gives you styling assistant. So it's kind of mapping to, I would say, if you look at the customer journey stages, it is mapping to your consideration and decision stage. It is helping, this experience is helping you in those two stages. And plus, it's also giving you activities which will retain you as a customer. So it's kind of touching on all the three components of the customer journey. And the technologies which have been used here, there's cloud, edge device, artificial intelligence, and interactive display technologies. So this is one of the examples where H&M has, put these interactive mirrors in some of their stores all over the world. And they have seen a lot of positive reactions to it. And again, if you notice, this is something of a novelty, it is something new, and that is why it is attracting the user or the customer. The next example, which we are looking at is Starbucks loyalty program, which they have now converted into, the back end is kind of Web3, blockchain, NFT, but it's essentially a way of retaining the customers and, making them advocates of the brand. So it is on the customer journey map. This is kind of mapping to the retention and the advocacy phase, where Starbucks has launched this web-based journey experience, where you go on a journey, interactive journey, and you discover, the entire way how they talk about how, from where the coffee is coming, how it is harvested, how it is processed, all of that. So you're going on this discovery, and then there are various levels. It's an interactive journey, and as you're going through it, there are quests and challenges that help you earn stamps, which they're calling as journey stamps, which is built on the concept of NFT. So you keep those stamps, and then those stamps will lead you to some special privileges and benefits. So this is another example of an immersive customer experience, which has been done by Starbucks, and it is leveraging technologies like NFT marketplace, blockchain, Web3. This is another example by Samsung. Now, Samsung has a big, their premium store in New York City, and they decided to bring that store into the virtual world. And I would put this particular immersive customer experience on the initial stages of the brand awareness part at the start of the customer journey, where they wanted to make this store accessible to people who cannot physically visit the store in New York, but they still get an experience of what the store looks like and engage with Samsung as a brand, come to know about Samsung as a brand. And so in this experience, you explore the store, and then again, they are targeting a specific younger group of customers. So they have built experiences of games, of journeys, and again the concept of, they've gamified the experience, you collect your badges and all of that. So this is another example, but it's just at the start. The purpose of this is to increase brand awareness, brand engagement, and it is at the start of the customer journey. And again, it's leveraging a metaverse platform. It's on Decentraland. It's again NFT marketplaces, blockchain, Web3, all of that. This is another example of a customer experience, and it's again, I would say, at the start of the customer journey. This is MasterCard collaborating with Grammy awards and with Roblox to build this. They hosted this entire Grammy week on Roblox, and this was again to bring in the event to people who could not physically attend the Grammy Awards. This was, I think, 2022 when this was done. And again, they had things like, you could walk on the red carpet with celebrities, you could take selfies, you could engage in games, there were treasure hunts, all of that. So this was, again, the platform was Roblox. Again, it's a young audience. They are targeting at MasterCard. Is targeting the young users. There's NFT marketplace, blockchain, Web3, all of those technologies. So we saw 4 key examples of what immersive customer experiences could look like, what part of how these big brands are creating these experiences for various reasons. Now we need to understand how are they measuring. Like, will the MasterCard do it again? Create a similar experience for the next Grammy Award, or will they take it to another level? And actually, the story is that MasterCard has created a separate virtual music academy based on the success of the Grammy Award event to just enhance around the theme of music their virtual experiences. So what are the key metrics for immersive customer experience? As I said at the beginning, the purpose, the why will decide what that metrics would look like. So if I am, if I'm designing an experience which is purely for the awareness stage, like the MasterCard and Grammy experience or Roblox, one of the key metrics could be event participation. Like, did I hit that number? If I was anticipating that at least 10,000 users will access that experience in a week's time or on a day, did I hit that number? So that could be my defining metric. So that's the participation. If it's a live event or an experience you are creating around a live event. The other is like the social media footprint. So if, for example, there is this whole story, I don't know if you guys have seen, like when I was showing you the physical billboard experience of Nike, like those interactive large 3D panels. So there's a story about this whole billboard in Japan about this billboard company. They set up, this is a new technology which had come in of interactive 3D billboards. So what they did was they had this whole cat, a big giant cat in 3D format, which used to leap out of that billboard. It was just outside one of the stations of the key commercial district, and this cat was just holding that attention, doing antiques, and like people were just just amazed and enthralled by that whole cat experience. It was like an experience of about 60 seconds where the cat jumps out of it's a big furry cat which jumps out of the billboard and does all sorts of things, holds your attention, and then the experience ends. So that is something. So the KPI could be like how many people are resharing, because a lot of people are taking videos of that billboard, and then how much of share has happened on social media about that particular billboard, and that itself could be the give you a metrics around the popularity of the immersive experience and how your brand is getting promoted. The other would be like your recommendation rate, how many new customers have you onboarded, your transaction rates, your referrals, recommendation rate. So these are the metrics through which you could measure the success of your immersive customer experience. So I think that brings us to the end of the webinar. If you guys have any questions, do let me know.
Hi, Nupur.
Hi, David.
We don't have any questions for today, Nupur.
Okay.
So, but thank you for that very insightful webinar. I learned a lot today.
I hope I did a decent job, and like I was able to share some of my insights on how to create these immersive experiences. Thank you for your time, everyone. I love presenting this.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Nupur.
Thanks. I can leave, right, David?